Good afternoon, Longhorns. Today we are going to be multiplying decimals. There are 3 steps to multiplying decimals. The first step is you would multiply the digits as you would whole numbers. So we're going to fill in the blanks. Multiply the digits as you would whole numbers. Okay, step 2. Count the total amount of the place values after the decimal. So we're going to write in the word count. The total amount of the place values after the decimal. Step 3, give the product the total number of decimal places. Give the product the total number of decimal places. So let's fill in those blanks again. From here, we're going to apply those steps that we just learned and we just talked about. The first number that you can see, we have 2 7/10 times 1 35/100. When we set that up, you look at how many digits there are. There's 2 digits here for the 2 7/10, and there's 3 for the 1 35/100. Because there's less digits here with the 2 7/10, we want to put the 2 7/10 at the bottom so that we don't have to make our multiplication so difficult. Alright, it's easier to do a 2-digit multiplication than it is a 3. So let's go ahead and set that up. Notice that when I'm multiplying, I do not need to line up the decimals like you do with adding and subtracting decimals. From here, it's time for us to go ahead and multiply out. Let's start out with 7 times 5, which is 35. Carry the 3. 7 times 3 is 21, plus 3 is 24. Carry the 2. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 2 is 9. Okay, then we're going to move on to the next number. So what we need to remember when we're moving on to the next number is that we have to put in those zeros. And what I call it is I call it kissing and hugging the place value away. And if you ever remember back when you used to get cards or something like that from any family member and they put X's and O's down at the bottom of your paper, that means hugs and kisses. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to kiss that 7 goodbye, and we're going to hug that 0 for the place value. Now we get to multiply by 2. 2 times 5 is 10. Carry that 1. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7, and 2 times 1 is 2. And that doesn't belong there anymore. From here, we're just going to add those up. So again, we're just multiplying and adding like we would any 2-digit multiplication problem. 5 plus 0 is 5, 4 plus 0 is 4, 7 plus 9 is 16, carry the 1, and 2 plus 1 is 3. At this point, we need to move on to step 2. Step 2 says count the total amount of the place values after the decimal. So I'm going to count them. And when I count them, I'm going to use the place value to help me. So here's my decimal. And I go 1, 2 to the right. That's the hundredths place. That's 2. And then this one's right here. So I go 1 to the right. That's a tenths place. So it's 1, which makes a total of 3. That's the thousands place. So when I put my decimal point in, I'm going to start at the end and move it 1, 2, 3 to the thousands place. Now I have my final answer, which is 3 and 645 thousandths. All right. Box my answer for the end. Let's head on to question number 2. Question number 2, we have 3 hundredths times 9 hundredths. The interesting thing about 3 hundredths times 9 hundredths is that I got a bunch of zeros in there. It's really only 3 times 9. So when I set this up, I'm going to set it up like I normally would. Technically, they both have 3 digits, but because of all those zeros and any number times 0 is 0, I'm going to go ahead and just multiply the 3 times the 9, which is 27. And you can do that. Then I'm just going to move on. So counting from the end, starting from the decimal point, I move to the right. 2 place values, because that's the hundredths place. 1, 2. And then I move to the right again, 1, 2. Hundredths place again, which means that I'm going to have a total of the thousandths place as my final answer. So here I go again, 1, 2, 3, 4 from the end, and place my decimal. And anytime I have missing numbers, I always put in a 0 for the place value. So there's my 27 10,000ths as my final answer. One thing that I want you to think about as you're multiplying, I am multiplying a number that's less than 1 by a number that's less than 1. If I do that, then I know my answer is going to be less than 1. So it only makes sense for it to be 27 10,000ths. In fact, it's supposed to be smaller than a hundredths place anyway. So something for you to think about. So 27 10,000ths is the final answer, and you can put that 0 in front of it or not. Totally up to you. Just make sure that you have that decimal point in the right spot. Okay, moving on to the last question. This is the biggie. This is the hard one. We have 27 8/10 times 1 89 thousandths. Now with that situation, I notice I have 3 digits here and 4 digits here. I want the 3 digits down at the bottom. So make sure that when you set it up, you put those digits down at the bottom. Okay. Alright. So it's time for me to start multiplying. But before I do that, I want to have a quick conversation about the multiplication symbols. Notice how one's an X, one's a dot, and one's parentheses. All 3 of them represent multiplication. In fact, what will happen is, this is more elementary, this is more middle school, and this is middle school too, and this is going more towards high school too. So you're going to start using these more than anything. This one's going to start to go away. Alright, let's go ahead and move on. 8 times 9 is 72, carry the 7. 8 times 8 is 64, plus 7 is 71. Carry that 7, get rid of the old one. 0 times 8 is 0, plus 7 is 7. And 8 times 1 is 8. So now that we've completed one full run of the first number, now we're going to kiss and hug those place values away. So here we go. Kiss the 8 away, put a 0 in for its place value. Alright, let's keep multiplying. 7 times 9 is 63. Carry the 6. 7 times 8 is 56. 56 plus 6 is 62. So I'm going to put a 2 here, carry the 6. And then I've got to do 7 times 0 is 0, plus 6 is 6. 7 times 1 is 7. Okay, now I got to do some more kissing and hugging. So I'm going to grab and kiss that 7 goodbye. I've got 2 X's, 2 kisses, which means I need 2 hugs for the third place value. That's something really important to remember because I'm not sure how far you went in elementary school with that. So make sure that you have those 2 zeros in for the place value. Now it's time for us to multiply by the third place value, which is 2. So 2 times 9 is 18. Carry the 1. 2 times 8 is 16, plus 1 is 17. Carry the 1. 2 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. 2 times 1 is 2. At this time, I need to add them all up and get my final answer. So, let's add them up. We get 2 here, 4, 7 plus 2 is 9, 9 plus 8 is 17, carry the 1. 8 plus 1 is 9, 9 plus 6 is 15, 15 plus 7 is 22. 7 plus 2 is 9, plus 1 is 10, carry that 1, 2 plus 1 is 3. At this point, I've got my whole number. Now I need to put my decimal placement in. So I'm going to count from the end. This was the tenths, hundredths, thousandths, so that's 3. Tenths, that's 1. Making it a total of the 10,000ths place. Start from the end, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we get 30 and 2,742 10,000ths as our final answer. I'm going to go ahead and box that. For the rest of your evening, your homework, you only have really technically 4 total problems. It's going to be broken up a little bit, but here we go. You're going to have to complete these 3 on your own. They're very similar to the ones up here. And then down at the bottom, you have a word problem that is mixing science and math together. It's asking you to find the volume. And I know that Miss Malarski and all the other science teachers have been telling you that you need to multiply using the area of the base times the height, and there's your formula right there. So find the area of the base times your height, get your volume, and then move on to your gallons. It's 7 and 48 gallons of water per cubic foot. So obviously that's multiplication 2. Get your final answer, and then move on to how much the box will weigh, because it is 8 and 34 hundredths pounds per gallon. So get that answer as well, and you will have how much the box will weigh with water in it. Have an absolutely wonderful evening. I will see you tomorrow. Have a great night. Thanks.